Say bonjour et bienvenue to Marie-Ange Debon, who is Group Deputy Chief Executive Officer and Chief Executive Officer, International Division of Suez, a company that for more than a century has delivered essentials in water and waste management. And what's she going to say? Well, she's going to tell us about how partnerships can create long-lasting impacts on people, the environment, and community development. So, without further ado, please welcome Ms. Marie-Ange Debon. Bonjour et bienvenue.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Henry, for the introduction. You're right, Suez is about partnership. And maybe you don't know Suez. Suez is the name of a small city in Egypt where we built, in fact, the first PPP long time ago, the Canal of Suez. And our name comes from this place in Egypt. Suez today is about natural resources. Water, the most precious element on the planet, and waste. Waste is not a negative word. It's not trash. Waste is a natural resource. And water and waste are behind the Sustainable Development Goals. And I would like to show you with some examples and some key simple ideas how with natural resources we can strongly achieve our 17 Sustainable Development Goals. So at Suez, our bread and butter is about water. Water, first, to give access to water to the population in a planet where we expect 9 billion of people in 2030. And at the same time, half of the population in the planet will be exposed, affected by water stress. Second, our work is to protect the water and to reduce the consumption of water in the context of the global warming. And third also is to protect the quality of the water. You know about quality of the water in the US. Recently the subject has been a major subject. But with the quality of the water, we can also optimize the use of the water by reusing wastewater treatment. And in the context of a urbanization at the level of planet, which should be at 70% in 2030, the treatment of the water is a key element. At Suez, we manage also waste. Collectively, at the level of the planet, we produce 4 billion tons of waste every year. And we expect that this amount is going to be multiplied by 3 by 2030. And 80% of this waste in emerging countries go into dump sites, uncontrolled landfills. In developed countries, around 20% of the waste is recycled. So we still have a lot to do. And water and waste, as they are natural resources, are critical to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. And I would like to take 3 examples in the world to illustrate that. So maybe first, let's move to the beautiful country of Jordan. Let's go to Amman. Amman is facing runaway urbanization with refugees, more than 1 million refugees in the country. And in addition, Jordan is probably one of the driest countries in the world, so facing water scarcity. In Amman, we have just inaugurated a new plant to treat wastewater, to treat the wastewater of the city of Amman. First, this plant is self-sufficient in terms of energy at 80%. What does it mean? It means that we use the sludge of the wastewater to digest it and to produce biogas, to create energy for the plant. Second, with the pipes and the gravity, we produce hydroelectricity. So this plant is self-sufficient in terms of energy. And maybe yesterday, for those who were attending the session, a figure was very striking. 10% of the energy used in the planet is for water. With this plant, we have a self-sufficient plant at 80%. But beyond the energy part, the key point is obviously that this plant is treating the wastewater of Amman. And with this wastewater, we are able to provide 10% of the water needs for irrigation of the country. So I think with this type of innovation, this type of solution, we are able to both to contribute to the Sustainable Development Goals about energy, about climate action, but also we try to, through irrigation, to help the country to secure its food issues. So water is really behind the Sustainable Development Goal. And this project has been a success. Why? It has been a success because it was a strong collaboration between private sector, Suez, and our civil work partner, but also the Jordan authorities, and also the Millennium Challenge Corporation, the US Foreign Aid Agency, which has helped a lot to build the plant. And at the end of the day, through innovation, through partnerships, I think it's a nice success, which is critical for the country in the context I was mentioning. Let's move to another country. From Jordan, not too far, to Lebanon, and from water to waste, and from the land to the sea. We are on the Mediterranean coast, in Sidon. As I was saying, we produce 4 billion tons of waste in the planet. You can see here in Sidon a mountain of 58 meters of waste, which has been accumulated over a period of 40 years. Can you imagine the impact of such a mountain on the daily life? Obviously, life on the land, life below the sea, life of the residents, no tourism, no economic growth because of this mountain of waste. But a few months ago, the local authorities have decided to deal with this subject, and we were able to, over a few months, to sort the waste and to rehabilitate the land. This is the same place. Can you imagine how the life of the residents has changed, how the economy is able to restart, how the life has changed for children who live close to this place when they go to school and they see this landscape. It's a park of 33,000 square meters instead of the mountain of waste. You need to keep in mind that between 5 and 10% of the green gas emission at the level of the planet come from landfills, unregulated landfills, dump sites. So 10% of the emissions. So waste is also behind the climate change. And this project is not a huge one. You do not need a lot of money. You need a strong governance. You need partnership between local authorities and private sector. You need a strong willingness of the local authorities to deal with the issue. But at the end of the day, we are not talking about a lot of money, and we are not building a huge plant. But at the end of the day, it's very rewarding for those who were part of this project and for the mayor to see such a success. The United Nations Development Programme, which was also part of this project, has also contributed to help to have this good governance and this collective work in order to achieve that. So waste, having a strong management of the waste is also a way to achieve our 17 Sustainable Development Goals. Let's move to another place in the world. Let's leave Middle East to go to Asia. And maybe let's move from municipal authorities to industrial players. And let's look at air pollution. China. China has been facing for many months now to huge issues in terms of pollution. Pollution of lands, of rivers, air pollution. Mainly because of a non-sustainable development over the past 20, 30, 40 years because of its industrial fast development. But today, the authorities have decided to tackle with this issue, and they have putting in place new rules for gas emission, new rules to treat effluents, and it's interesting to know that some of these rules are more stringent than in Europe or in the US. And the authorities have also decided to enforce these rules. So the situation is changing. And what we are doing with industrial players is that we are managing their utilities in a very demanding way in terms of treatment of gas emission and treatment of effluents. We have built and we operate an industrial park, which is the Chemical Industrial Park of Shanghai, probably the biggest industrial park of China. But as you can see, given the right level of standards that we have on this industrial park, we are able to make the conciliation between industrial growth, industrial development, and sustainable development. And again, it's a project which has been decided collectively and organized collectively in order to allow the Chinese to continue to develop their industrial activities, but also in a very sustainable development way. Innovation, partnership are key again to be able to achieve our sustainable development goals. So to conclude, I would say that water and waste are really key, the natural resources you should keep in mind to be able to achieve collectively our sustainable development goals. And I think at Suez, we believe that it is our local business to make these goals every day true for people. At the end of the day, through partnership, through innovation, through a good governance, we are able to better manage water and waste. And with this better management of water and waste, we are able to further develop a sustainable industrial growth for a lot of countries. And in addition to that, we are able, through this circular economy and this, what I would say, virtuous circle, also to reinforce peace and justice and to consolidate institutions in order to offer to our children, to our next generations on the planet, a better future. So thank you very much, and Suez is very honored and proud to be part of this story to help the planet to be a better place to live. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, okay?
Thank you.